the only reason Alberto Contador won the Giro Vuelta back in 2008, because he was a big star there as well, was because Astana wasn't invited to the tour that year. So it's very exceptional circumstances that that happens. But yeah, Patrick, you mentioned Pogacar 2024. And if we look at that, he actually started his season in March, Strade Bianche, Milan San Remo. Obviously, Jonas is probably not going to do that. Maybe, who knows? Maybe he'll get that Italian flavor. Please do it, Jonas, please. Well, if judging by that European road race, maybe not. Then he goes to the Volta a Catalunya. And I mean, this year that's quite a good one to go to, considering that the Grand Depart is in that region. Then he went to Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and then he went to the Giro d'Italia. So, I mean, comparing that, Patrick, how do you see Jonas doing that?
I was looking at also the dot pro races, those kind of Andalusias sort of the world. So next year you've got, Comunitat Valenciana is very early on in February, 4th to the 8th. Then you get like Tour of Oman around that same time as well. Algarve is from the 18th to the 22nd, alongside the Ruta del Sol, also from the 18th to the 22nd. So maybe you see Jonas maybe he does Algarve again, or it could be Andalusia, or maybe does Comunitat Valenciana and Andalusia to try and really get those race days in early on, to try and get kind of those race days in before the Giro. This is based on him doing a Giro. After that, I don't know. I reckon, yes, probably Catalonia. Like you say, with the Tour starting next year, and we're agreeing that there's no way Visma don't send their main GC guy to the Tour de France. I don't think a sponsor would really be happy about that. So it makes sense to go to Catalonia instead of like a Paris-Nice or Tirreno. So I reckon, yeah, you could see maybe some more race days early on, because trying to get his anaerobic accumulated time, which a lot of pros tend to do during races rather than during training. So getting those, that Route del Sol, Andalusia, Catalonia, and then honestly, I reckon you might just not see him before the Giro. It might just be altitude camp after that. I don't see him being a Tour of the Alps kind of guy, really. Like, he doesn't really seem like that sort of person. And I don't know, maybe you see him doing some Basque Country, maybe in April. But I don't think you'd really see more than that. I don't see one-day races being on here at all. And I think it's probably quite a lot of, Spanish warm-up, I suppose, is where my thinking is.
Spanish races as a warm-up for an Italian Grand Tour. That's quite funny. But I mean, here's the King of Spain right now. So, I think also the climate as well is pretty good at that time of year for Spain. I mean, there's been talks of, I don't think he's going to go to Tour Down Under. I don't know if he would go to UAE Tour. Maybe you just want to limit, because all the traveling adds up, obviously. So I would just limit it and just focus on Spain or Portugal. I think your plan is a good idea. Yeah, we don't know anything about the Giro route, so we can't really comment on that. But it'll probably be a bit like Pogacar when he did his, with not really anyone rivaling him if he's on top form. And it'll be a bit of a Vingegaard show, maybe akin to what we saw in the Vuelta. Okay, he was sick during the Vuelta. Maybe if he's completely fine, no interruptions, then he's going to dominate that Giro d'Italia, become the first ever Dane to win that. Do you see him going to the Dauphiné after that? Yeah, what does this preparation between the Giro and the Tour look like? Is it just go to the Dauphiné or Tour de Suisse?
I don't reckon it would be anything. The full cold turkey. Don't think he'd do anything between the Giro and the Tour. I think he'd just be trying to recover as much as possible. Grand Tour's going to take it out of you, and the additional, basically going to a Dauphiné to probably get beaten by Pogacar is probably not ideal. You always want to keep your cards close to your chest and not do that much. And on a sort of a side note, it'd be interesting to see what Jorgensen can do in a Grand Tour setting, or going to the Dauphiné as like an absolute leader sort of thing. He's done well in Paris-Nice, so it'd be interesting to see what he could do. This isn't like a Visma preview show. I'm just saying that they've got options in terms of who they can send to places. Yeah, I think they'll just keep their cards close to the chest, and Jonas will just get dropped into Barcelona at the start, and nobody will know how he's going except him, his coach, and his team manager, probably.
Yeah, I think you're right. The question we had with Tadej Pogacar in 2024 was that he'd never done two Grand Tours. I mean, Jonas has. He did the Tour and the Vuelta in 2023, and then obviously in 2024 the Tour and the Vuelta. So I think he does pretty well, two Grand Tours. I would think he was the strongest rider in that both those Vueltas after the Tour. Sorry, Seb Kuss.
Yeah. Is there a possibility that he doesn't do the Tour and just Giro Vuelta, wins both, and Visma have a change of tack and they sort of go with a different psychology into the Tour and they try and see what Jorgensen can do?
Are you getting paid by Jorgensen's agent?
Jorgensen's a guy. I don't know, it wouldn't surprise me. Visma have had some left field signings and they seem to just be thinking in a slightly out of the box manner at the moment, and it wouldn't surprise me if they throw a curveball in and there's a possibility where Jonas doesn't do the Tour and they try and get him to bag two Grand Tours rather than going to the Tour de France, where kind of we saw nobody will probably get beaten by Pogacar. Sounds very defeatist to say already, but he seems like a fairly insurmountable force at the moment. Why would you send your best GC rider to a Tour where he's probably not going to win a stage, probably not going to win the overall, when you could instead recover him and go to the Vuelta instead with full preparation, have a better chance of winning that? Surely that's logical to do that as like a more of a certainty rather than just using your bullets after the Giro, suboptimal build up to the Tour to ultimately get whooped anyway. It wouldn't surprise me to see Visma do something different. You got Wout, Sepp Kuss, Simon Yates, Jorgensen, whoever else. You know, you could still build a strong squad for the Tour. It's just not going to have Jonas there. And I think that'll be that's the main thing. It doesn't hurt to not send him. But if he's going to lose, then why not just send him to the Vuelta where he might win?
It is still a podium place, as Mespelsen said after Jonas Vingegaard finished second again. That he was like, "This is a mega result." He's still finishing second in the Tour de France. Yeah, I see what you mean, and I mean it's just the Tour is the Tour. We know it as well. I mean, you can even put it this way: is winning the Tour bigger than winning the Giro and Vuelta in the same year? I think it is.
Yeah, true. But is winning the Giro and winning the Vuelta bigger than winning the Giro and finishing second at the Tour?
Yeah, that's the hard one. I'd almost say it's probably is bigger finishing second in the Tour than winning the Vuelta.
You reckon?
Commercially, I would say. Maybe
Yeah.
not like on your Palmares, but it's just, yeah. It hurts me to say it, but that's just the reality, is that's where all the eyeballs are.
If he does the Tour, what does he do for the rest of the season? The latter half of the season, outside of the Vuelta, is very one-day race heavy. And as we know, Jonas Vingegaard is not a one-day racer. It's not like he's going to be building towards the World Championships. So, Giro Tour, we don't see him until 2027.
Yeah, I think so.
Just goes on a massive holiday, a massive 3-month bender.
But I'd like to see him at the Tour of Denmark. He's never won that. He's done it before and came second.